if it's your first time joining, we're just letting people pop in. Feel free to go on to the bit.ly/KT Spark 323 for the date of this Monday. It is case sensitive, so make sure you have that capital KT, or you can just open up your phone or iPad and scan that QR code with the camera, and it should take you right there, which is pretty awesome. So these are all of our sessions that we're doing this week. We're going to have some more next week as well, just to kind of give you some ideas. So feel free to take a second to get on that if you would like to. That's where all of our resources are. And we also will be recording all of these things and posting them on there in case you have to pop off early, or if you miss something, or you really wanted to see a session that you totally missed, which is awesome. So there's so many things happening on all these different sessions. It's really fun. Feel free to pop in and ask me questions or on the chat as we get going, or just give us some ideas. If you're already using Seesaw, you can definitely share those as well. All right, so first, before we get going, a little bit about Knowing Technologies. We support lots of schools and hopefully people even more around the world after what's been going on lately. So these are our innovation coaches, and all these instructional coaches have been teaching for a number of years in a whole bunch of different areas. Like we have math and science. I used to teach French, which was really fun. So we have lots of examples to give you if you're ever looking for it. Here are sessions that we've done this week. So if you were interested in one, you should be able to click on the link and it takes you to the slide deck with the recorded session. We've been posting it on Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and on our website. So feel free to grab onto it. We'll be posting more next week. Looks like we're getting some more people. There you go. Good. Later on today, we have Book Creator. If you have never used Book Creator, I am obsessed with it. They definitely sold me on it when I was working with my teachers, just making those digital books. So I would hop onto that one if you can. And we've also been putting a collaborative list of digital reading resources out for all levels. So if you want to pop in and get some ideas, I'm sure you've seen a million resources going around too for all the students. So hopefully that kind of gives you a good start before we get going. So any questions before I pop over to my deck, feel free to chat in the chat window. Okay. So for today, it's just going to be a small bite of information. So I'm going to kind of take you from beginning to like just give you some ideas of how to use Seesaw. So you might be a first-time learner. You might already be using it and just need some ideas. Other sessions I already told you are going to be recorded. And if you need more information or you missed something, or you just need some questions answered while you're at home, because we're all at home, we're here to support you. So feel free to email us at info@knowingtechnologies.com and we get right back to you because it's us. So we're able to do that for you. Okay, so let's pop into Seesaw. Let me just jump to my slide so you kind of get, today's Thursday, there we go, kind of get an idea and overview of what we're going to be doing. So you might be using the website, you might be using the app, you might be using your phone. It is cross-platform, which is awesome. That's why we love Seesaw. It's approved by student data privacy, so you can get on it and get going. I love their platform. It's pretty amazing. And I've seen it used K through 12, so it just depends on what you're teaching. Underneath that, this link is about icons, and I'm going to show you how to use the icons. And if you're already in there, you're like, what are these icons for? I'll show you how to use those. They're pretty easy to use. Seesaw has a whole YouTube playlist of tutorials. So once you're done and you've gotten started and you want to get a little bit more advanced, or if you want to become a Seesaw ambassador because you're like, I love this, this is amazing, jump on and check out their tutorials. They also have a link for remote learning. So very specific things and resources that teachers are using right now. You can also send it to parents because there's a parent section. So it's really handy that you can just send resources right to parents and be like, here you go, this is what we're doing. End of the year, when you're done using Seesaw, I won't be going over it, but in case you do have questions, you can just pop into that, or you can just Google it, of course. But how to either archive your class, or it is a portfolio, so you can actually move students' work into the next year. So it gives you resources to do that too, which is pretty handy, especially if your school has subscribed to Seesaw. And then later today, I'll pop in today's recording and link it there for you. So hopefully you're good to go. All right, so first off is I logged on to Seesaw. So if you want to log on to yours or if you need to sign up, go ahead and jump on in. I'm just going to show you around a little bit. Student and teacher view are very similar. So what you see is kind of what you get, which is really nice. In the top left is talking about my class, and this is that I'm logged in. And when I click here, I can create new classes on the left, but the students see the same thing. So if they have multiple classes, they'll click on that and they'll be able to see all their classes. I've seen music, I've seen ninth grade or fifth grade or wherever they're in, or maybe they're in Spanish. So you can kind of populate that all in there all at once, which is really handy, so that they can just get into all their classes right away. So it's really nice when a whole bunch of teachers in like one grade level are all on board because kids can easily just navigate everywhere. It's kind of like your own learning management system, which is kind of cool. All right, up at the top, this is the most amazing thing is you don't really have to worry about all of the different like signing up students and sending it because they have a little button that makes it super easy for you. Looks like we have a little chat. Does this mean several teachers have access to one class? You can have co-teachers. Yes, you definitely can. But that was for when you log in. I can create multiple classes, but the student would see all of their classes in that window, if that makes sense. So if I saw Spanish, I could click on Spanish, like in student view, and say like, I'm going to pop into my Spanish class for the next homework, and then into music class for my next homework if I was in the student view. If I was a teacher and had multiple classes, like let's say I teach French 1, 2, and 3, I would see them all right here, if that makes more sense. Okay, good question. All right, so over here on the right-hand side, you're gonna see the class journal and the activities in the inbox. So when I'm just gonna kind of go over that section a little bit. So first off, just setting it up, you have the little plus sign for students, and that's how you add your students right here by clicking the little plus sign. You can easily type in a student name. You can paste if you have it on an Excel sheet or a document, you can totally paste the student. I find that to be the easiest since we're in distance learning right now. If you do hit skip, there is a way for students just to click and sign into your class. If you don't feel like pasting all their kids' names, you totally don't have to. So this is the instruction for the kids to just click on the website, choose I'm a student, and they can either put in the code or they can scan a QR code. So you do have that feature for the students just to pop right into your class if that's easier for you. And I'll show you an easier way to send that out to parents and students as well, which was that button in the top. Oh, we have some questions popping in. Let's look. So it's limited to 3 teachers as co-teachers. I think you're right. I would have to look into it. And can a school administrator set up all classes? Yes, there is admin levels. You can definitely do that. And that would be on the link for admin levels. When you're searching just in Seesaw, it's really easy to set up. So great job sharing, guys. I see you all in the chat window. All right. So easy way for students to sign in, or if you populate it yourself. So up at the top where it says get home learning codes, this is what I love is when you click it, I can either print all the codes or download all the codes. So when I download it, I already have like 3 make-believe students here. I can click and get the Excel spreadsheet. And when I hit print, I'll show you what it looks like because these have come home to students already. So that's the spreadsheet. I mean, it's kind of basic, but it doesn't really help me much. And this is the one that I love, is the print one. So this is very specific instructions that I can send. I can either print it and email it, snail mail it to all of my parents, but I can also just print one page and email it if I needed to. So you could totally do whatever you wanted. But this is, if you look at the top, it says this is specifically for Alice to log in. So she would go to this website, she'd choose I'm a student, and I love how very specific it is of how to do it because a lot of parents are getting confused on like, how do I get my kid in there? So I like the step-by-step of what they've done. And then the next page would be for Bob, like I made a Bob kid. So you kind of get the idea. It'd be page by page. So you can totally split this up. If you have Adobe, you can like make it separate pages. Also, when I hit print, I can select, so I just right clicked and hit print. I can select the page one at a time if I really wanted to. I can say page 2. So I'm going to save page 2 to my desktop, and then I can email Alice's home, and I would just title it Alice, and it's going to save over there on my desktop. So you kind of get some ideas of like how you can invite the students, which makes it a little bit easier. All right. So that's kind of basic step one, is getting those students in there, making sure that they can join and be in your class. So once they start joining and it starts populating, you'll see it down below. You also can turn on the sample student so you can look what it looks like as a student. You can click on it and start adding things yourself, which is really handy. If you decide to, you can add families. If you choose to. That's usually like when we're at school working with the students and they're working, and then the parents want to see like what projects they're working on, so you can have that access if you want to over there. Next up will be activities. So journal is kind of like where kids can post work. So if you're like, okay, I want you to record your voice, or I want you to work on whatever it is for whatever announcement you gave, you can totally do that. But activities is where you can push out like a document. So I have all these pretend documents, and then they can actually write on it, which is really handy. They can add a response to it. So it depends on like what kind of activity you need. So that's what I'm going to do, is just practice the activity so you can see what it looks like. So you just come up and hit the add button. Post student work is you pretending to be a student, my example student. That's where it's going to look. So you kind of see the student side. That's where I see it. Assign activity is where we're at now. And then send announcement is just, hey guys, good morning. Here's a video of me just saying the morning meeting or reading a book to you or whatever it may be. It's totally up to you. Okay, so I'm going to go to assign activity. And you have two sections. You have my library, and you might not have anything in there. That's where you create things, or if you reuse an already community membered activity, that's where you assign information to the students. The community section I love because you can start searching for assignments that people have already been using. So I'm going to pop in here and I can choose whatever grade it is. So let's say I go 10th grade and I click on math, for example. Then I can see what people are using. And so if I like it, I can use it. It saves them to my library. So I'm like, oh, I love this one. There's like a graph and I want them to graph it. So I can click on it, and all I have to do is either like it or assign it. Liking it just saves it to my world, but I can assign it right away, which is really awesome. So I can hit assign. Where do you want to assign it to? So I can either click on my whole class, post it, and it's done. I can also choose which students right here with edit students, and choose, I only wanted to go to these, maybe I just want to go to Bob, whoever I want, and then hit the check mark. I can also schedule it out. So when I'm planning for next week, I can start posting things so they just are scheduled and ready to go, which makes my life so much easier. And then they also have folders. Skills is the skills section is for like a paid for version, so you can actually like talk about what skills, if you decide to go that way, you can. But I like folders because you can create a folder. It just says it right down here, and you can populate and say like, okay, these worksheets or assignments are going into math and these go into reading. It makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to put this one in math so you can see what it looks like, and then hit the checkbox. All right, so as soon as I assign it, it goes right into my classroom. So I'll just go over there. So this is what it looks like. It's just populated on the left-hand side. You see all my activities running around over here. And then you can see there's a folder over here, who I assigned it to, etc. Over on the right-hand side for journal, all my folders that you just saw, there's a little folder guy over here for my full class. And when I click on it, it shows all the folders, so I can actually see like where I populate things for the whole entire class, as opposed to one student at a time. Okay. All right, so sample student, let's see. I just posted that to Bob. Here we go, activities, there we go. Okay, so under activities, that's where they'll find their homework and what they have to do. So the student very easily has to hit add response. And then whatever you uploaded, or in this case, I just reused it. I'll show you how to upload your own in a second. They have all the functioning of having a pen, marker, eraser, etc. So that the student, don't mind my handwriting because it's not giving me the best. So they can start plotting these points as they go, and then they can draw and start graphing things if they needed to. They can also record their voice. They can take a picture. They can upload from here. They can put text on here. If I wanted to just type something, I could. I can change the color of it, whatever I needed to do. As soon as the student hits the check mark, then that means it's turned in. They're ready to go. So then on your end, you could comment, you could check it out and grade it if you needed to. So you have some features all built right within here. So that's the student work section. Back to the ad for assign activity. So that was everything in the community. This was stuff already pre-made. I just went searching for it just to make my life easier and see what people are doing, because maybe you're new to the world. Under my libraries, where you can create your own activities, which is really handy. So when you hit create activities, just a blank, you're ready to go. You just start titling it. So I'm going to just do this example work for instructions, and I want you to graph, or maybe I want you to fill out the spreadsheet, whatever this may be. Here's all my instructions. Now, to get just blank paper, so maybe you want the students to graph, or maybe you want them to write something, I found these really cool printable paper websites where you can just download free paper. A lot of people don't know this website, and I was like, this is an amazing website. So they have all these free, I mean, there's tons of them over here. So I could download any of these writing papers or graphing papers just by clicking on it and hitting download, but I've already done it. And then I can upload it in here. So first off, let me hit upload. So add a template. I'm going to add this template for my students, which is over here. Let me go find it, desktop. And then let's see, screenshot. I'm trying to remember. Oh, here it is. It should be this one. Math. Oh, well, I had another worksheet too. So obviously you can upload anything that you want. I must have downloaded a million thousand things, but I have all these fun papers that I can add to this. So this one says that I have 2 pages for my worksheet that I can add to it. I can add a page over here on the right if you have this 60-day thing, obviously. So totally up to you how you want to manipulate that. I'm going to trash this one because I really liked some of that free paper. So I wanted to show you this one, for example, is really cool to have the kids. So they kind of are creating like an online story where they can add things. So you're just making this template for them, and they have the same features that I was explaining. And then I was explaining earlier that there are these icons. If you remember way back over here on the slide deck, I said, hey, there's these Seesaw activity icons. And so they have a list of them, and I linked it for you. But these icons are really handy because maybe you really need specific icons to explain to the students when you're writing it. I want you to use the microphone, for example. I need you to hit the checkbox, for example. So some students are very visual. I'm a very visual person. So like those things are really helpful for me. Like, don't forget to do this. So what do you do with those? Well, if you just type in, for example, check, then that's gonna, and I have those 2 little colons on each end, then it's gonna change to the checkbox image, which is really handy. I can add voice instructions. I always suggest doing that because students love hearing your voice. It's just like they're in the classroom. They can hear you, they can process it a little bit better. And then of course you can add more multimedia. So if you need to add other things, videos, what have you, just showing your face, you can totally do that. And then I'm gonna hit save. All right, so here's my example. Look, my little check turned into a check. So there's all these cool icons that you can use. So maybe you have a microphone for them to record, or maybe a camera for them to take a picture around the house. That's what the art teacher was doing just the other day for my daughter. As soon as you're ready, hit assign and then choose where you want it to go. I see a lot of questions popping in. Okay, so let me pop over to you guys and see what you're saying. Let's see. All right, multimedia instructions. Oh, you guys are sharing. Very good. Okay, so does Seesaw interact easily with teacher created videos with links from Loom, for example? You can totally upload your videos and assignments. Oh, all right. Lots of people are already responding. Awesome. Fabulous. Thanks, guys. See, you just keep rolling with it. All right. So hit your assignment. You're ready to go. You can assign this. If I want to schedule it for later, I can totally do that. But I'm going to go back to my class. All right. So you see the role of activities. The journal sections for students to post. Maybe you just want them to record their voice and talk about something if you wanted to, and you didn't post the activity, you can do that. You can send students direct messages in their inbox if you want to, but one thing that I did want to show is this little wrench in the top right-hand corner. So that's one feature that a lot of people don't pay attention to, so I wanted to make sure that you saw it. So way at the top right, there's a little wrench, that's your settings gear. So give it a second, it's loading. Come on, buddy. That's what happens when we have so many people on distance learning, right? All right. So here, again, how you can add students and families. Here is where you can change your class name easily. You can change the grade level if you mistakenly did it. If you want to add your teachers, we had a lot of questions about that. Manage teachers, add those extra teachers right here. So I can add other people if I wanted to, which is super handy for co-teachers. Class theme, that just kind of changes the background. So I have the blue color over there with my little rainbow guy. I thought he was cute. And then down below, so managing students, that's when you're sending the information out to the home so that they can log in. And this is also if you need to create new codes, for example, for students. Student likes and comments, that's if you decided for students to see each other's work. There is an option to turn that button off. And so some teachers are very specific. I do not want students to see each other's work. You can totally turn that off. And then some people are very collaborative and need that, like if you're maybe in art and you wanted everyone to see each other's work, you can totally do that. In comments, so that's where if you want students to be able to hit like, for example, on the student's work, or they can comment underneath to give feedback, you can have that feature here by just turning it on and off. It's totally up to you. If you decide it does it for the whole entire class. And then new items require approval. So if you're sharing with the full entire class, you might want to check those off to make sure that they're appropriate to be shared with the class. So I usually turn that on, but that's up to you. Enable editing. Do you want them to be able to edit their assignments, for example? Enable sample student. I definitely recommend that because then you can kind of play and see what it looks like first, especially if you're new to Seesaw. So you can turn that little feature on because I had that little student, but I also just used another email and logged in too. So you can do that as well. Family access, if you turn that on, that means the parents will see all the work that's being posted for that student and their journal work. Then of course you have folders. The skills section is the paid for. So if you guys are in the paid for section, then that part will be turned on and it kind of lets you rate and grade a little bit easier. So those are like the main things that you want to do. Way at the bottom, I was telling you at the end of the years where you can archive that class so you don't have to delete the class, so it still saves and preserves the students' work. And then if they move on to another Seesaw class the following year, they'll be able to easily get that. They'll still have like a portfolio because this is their digital portfolio that can continue on with them, which is really handy. Okay. So all of those were based in the top wrench feature, just to make sure that you can edit your class. So my suggestion, if you're new to Seesaw, is start with your sample student and even have a co-teacher become like sign in so you guys can kind of practice it a little bit and then send those codes out and just practice. It's okay. Like everyone's new to this and everyone's understanding. So just getting those activities out there and practicing. You can find your scheduled activities because remember I scheduled one for a later date. You can easily just kind of navigate with those couple buttons. It looks exactly the same on the student side. Okay, so let's see if there's any other questions rolling in as we're going through until the end. So let's see, you guys are all sharing. This looks great. Some people have turned it off. Okay, sounds good. Beautiful. It's my understanding that there are 150 student limit in the free version. I do believe that Seesaw, I would have to look into it, but I feel like they may have opened up the free version like some of the other companies. I would have to check and I can make a note on the slide deck for you if I find the information of how you can upgrade for a while. But of course, after I'm assuming next year, they'll probably go back to the free version if you have to pay. So I would look into that. Turning off students' work without using the home learning codes created quite a panic. Oh, any thoughts on that on the blog, please? So turning off students' work without using the home learning codes. I'm not sure what you mean by without the home learning codes. I'm guessing you're meaning with the parents. Usually student work, some teachers are very specific of not showing each other's work because it's very comparing, like people are comparing each other with other things. And so that's a little tricky when you're assessing students. I mean, if they're just sharing, then that's one thing, but keep that in mind as you're going through, okay? All right. So if you have more questions, definitely email me at that info at Knowing Technologies. Hopefully that's a good, strong start for you to get going on Seesaw and just the basics, because I think it's a really easy tool just for you to get started and share assignments and have students either type or draw or record themselves video or audio. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for you just to navigate if you get it quickly set up. But definitely send that more information, just email me. But other than that, hopefully you got something good out of it. So far, so good. You guys feel ready? Yes, I see lots of smiles. That's so good. Yay! Awesome. All right. So it's good seeing all of your faces. I hope you guys are doing well. But let us know if you need anything. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, guys.